For what purpose does the gentleman from Tennessee seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I have a motion to recommit at the desk.
Is the gentleman opposed to the joint resolution?
Mr. Speaker, I am in its current form.
The gentleman qualifies. The clerk will now report the motion.
Mr. Kustoff of Tennessee moves to recommit the joint resolution, House Joint Resolution 37, to the Committee on Foreign Affairs with instructions to report the same back to the House forthwith with the following amendment. Add at the end of Section 1 the following. 11. It is in the national security interest of the United States to combat anti-Semitism around the world because A. Anti-Semitism is a challenge to the basic principles of tolerance, pluralism, and democracy, and the shared values that bind Americans together. B. That there has been a significant amount of anti-Semitic and anti-Israel hatred that must be strongly condemned. And C. There is an urgent need to ensure the safety and security of Jewish communities, including synagogues, schools, cemeteries, and other institutions. 12. It is in the foreign policy interest of the United States to continue to emphasize the importance of combating anti-Semitism in our bilateral and multilateral relations, including with the United Nations, European Union institutions, Arab League, and the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe.
The gentleman is correct. The clerk will suspend. The House will come to order. The gentleman from Tennessee may proceed. All right. The clerk will continue to report the amendment.
13, because it is important to the national security interests of the United States to maintain strong bipartisan support for Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East. All attempts to delegitimize and deny Israel's right to exist must be denounced and rejected. 14, it is in the national security interest of the United States to oppose restrictive trade practices or boycotts fostered or imposed by any foreign country against other countries friendly to the United States or against any United States person.
The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the final amendment to the bill. It would not kill the bill nor send it back to committee. If adopted, the resolution will immediately proceed to final passage as amended. Mr. Speaker, the attack in October last year against the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh was a devastating assault on the Jewish community. By inflicting violence on a neighborhood's congregation Shabbat morning service, the gunman sent a bone-chilling message. Even in 2018, hate-filled individuals will attack Jews simply for being Jewish. The Anti-Defamation League believes that this is the deadliest attack on the Jewish community in the history of the United States of America. This tragedy is merely one part of an upsetting development that has emerged in recent years, a resurgence of anti-Semitism around the globe. The Anti-Defamation League reported a 60% rise in anti-Semitic incidences in the United States from 2016 to 2017. In December, the European Union released a survey of over 16,000 European Jews, which reported that anti-Semitism pervades everyday life, undermining European Jews' feeling of safety and security. Mr. Speaker, we should all be alarmed by this international trend. No one should be forced to live in fear of violence or be deterred from participating in their faith community. The United States must remain a global leader, not only in speaking out against anti-Semitism, but in holding those who enable those vile beliefs accountable. Our motion to recommit adds language to H.J. Res. 37 that affirms that it is in the national security interest of the United States to combat anti-Semitism around the world. It states that we must make combating anti-Semitism a priority in all of our diplomatic relationships, and we need to ensure that Jews around the world feel safe in their communities. Mr. Speaker, I remain deeply concerned by the measure the Democrats have called up today on Yemen, but if this resolution is going to move forward, it should do so while making a strong statement that the United States has no tolerance for anti-Semitism, I urge all members to stand in solidarity with Jews around the world and support the motion to recommit. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For what purpose does the gentleman from New York seek recognition?
Yes, I rise in support of this resolution.
I ask the gentleman from New York, do you seek time in opposition to the motion?
In opposition, no, I don't.
The gentleman does not seek time in opposition to the motion.
Seek time in opposition even though I don't oppose. Yep. Seek time
Any
even though
member
you don't
seek
oppose.
time in opposition to the motion to recommit?
Mr. Speaker, I seek time in opposition, although I do not oppose.
Without objection, then, the gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you. First of all, I accept this resolution, and I agree with everything that Mr. Kustoff just said. Anti-Semitism is a scourge. It's a scourge on humanity. It's a scourge in this country, and it has to be fought just the way prejudice of any kind has to be fought. I think that this entire House should support this and say once and for all with a united voice, we will not tolerate anti-Semitism in any shape or form, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Without objection, the previous question is ordered. The question is on the motion to recommit. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The ayes
I ask for a recorded vote.
A recorded vote has been requested. Those favoring a recorded vote will rise. A sufficient number having risen, a recorded vote is ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device. Pursuant to Clause 9 of Rule 20, this 5-minute vote on the motion to recommit will be followed by 5-minute votes on passage of the joint resolution if ordered, and the motion to suspend the rules and pass H.R. 995 if ordered. This is a 5-minute vote.
Usually in U.S. House floor procedure, the motion to recommit is seen as a last chance to change the bill, and in general, they don't succeed. It could be different this time. The Republicans had offered a motion to recommit. Steve Scalise, the Republican whip, releasing a statement saying that this motion to recommit states that it is in the national interest of the United States to combat anti-Semitism at home and abroad. With an unfortunate rise in anti-Semitism and attempts to delegitimize Israel, the United States House of Representatives must emphasize the importance of combating anti-Semitism and reject all movements that deny Israel's right to exist. That's part of what this motion to recommit is, and won't change the bill should they pass it. And the underlying legislation that they're attaching it to, or would attach it to, is the measure that would call for the end of U.S. military support for Saudi-led forces in the Yemen civil war. That final passage vote would be next. They're voting now on the motion to recommit, and what changed the calculus a bit on it is that the Democratic chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Eliot Engel of New York, you may have just seen it, said he would support this motion to recommit. 5-minute vote.
Have all members voted? Does any member wish to change his or her vote? On this vote, the yeas are 424. The nays are 0, 2 answering present. The motion is adopted.